All right, so going to call this meeting of the Douglas Historical Commission to order on October 9th, 2024 at 6:06. This meeting is taking place at the Community Meeting Room at the Douglas Municipal Center. Present at today's meeting, Rebecca Doyen-LaValle.
Dawn Fontaine.
Christy Turgeon.
Sarah Diamond.
Excellent.
And we're just missing Scott Garland.
Yes. Dawn's provided us all with an agenda for today's meeting. Any objections? Do we need to go over it again?
No.
So the first thing was to approve the minutes from July 2nd.
Yep, so, here, let me. Okay, I wanna
If
just.
anybody needs those.
I have it on my phone.
Okay. All right, so we just need a motion to approve those, or discussion. I guess discussion first. Is there any discussion?
We need to approve the agenda first.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right, so I'll move to approve the agenda for tonight's October 9th meeting.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. And then the meeting minutes need to be.
Okay, all right, so I'll also make a motion to approve the meetings from July 2nd. Any discussion or?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved and passed.
Okay. Okay. So the next is to discuss the progress in the downtown historic district, which is, most of what we're going to talk about tonight.
Okay, so in order to do that, what you have here, I went ahead and I went through all of our past correspondences with the MHC. And I kind of...
The Massachusetts Historical Commission.
Yeah, sorry.
For those who don't know.
Sorry, just used to saying that. And I kind of made notations of what the important stuff is. And then on the next page, I did what needs to be done in order to complete a Form A. And it ended up being pretty much 2 pages. I was really hoping it wouldn't, but I also had notes and stuff that I included. So we've determined the historic district, we determined the area,
Right.
we've determined the parameters for the contributing and non-contributing properties. And we created the data sheet, which, if we were gonna look at what the final data sheet is gonna look like, it's gonna be this. I left those blank until we've got
The style.
yeah, we've got them worked on here, we've just gotta get the
Okay.
final. I just didn't wanna put it in the final until we've got it. But this is what it's gonna include: the MHC number, if applicable, map parcel number, street number, street name, estimated year built, historic name, common name, the style, which is like the federal, the Greek, all of that happy stuff. Type, building, object, site, and what's the other one?
Site object.
Structure.
So, wait a minute, so B is building.
Yep.
Is there an O form?
No, so they're all, it's not different, well, there are different forms, but there is an O form. Remember how we asked about the ball field?
Yeah.
Like, it's just that kind of stuff. So an object is the bridge or the memorials.
Okay.
Actually, I take that back. The bridge is gonna be a structure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the bridge falls under a structure.
Okay.
An object would be a memorial. A site would be a burial ground. And then
Okay.
building. So those are kind of how they are. Status is C for contributing and NC for non-contributing. And then the photo number once we actually get there.
Okay.
So this is the Form A that we need to, the data sheet that we need to complete for part of the Form A.
So the data sheet needs to be completed for Form A. Do you have a Form A probably?
Yep, it's actually the 3rd page.
Okay. Just to remind everybody what it looks like. Which looks a lot like the B that those except for Christy worked a lot on before, but then with a photograph, a map, a little bit about the,
So if you go
Acreage.
down to number 8 on that sheet, an A form has the general information, which is like the town, city, place. Contextual map for the front page, that's like that would be the shot of downtown or an aerial shot. Then we've got the locus map, which is this map here that shows the
With red
outline.
one, okay.
This has to go on this.
Right here, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And then what we can do is we can then do section maps where we can do like this section and
oh,
this
like
section.
like you'd see a call out on a map where it's like
Yeah,
condensed.
we can,
Okay.
because they want to be able to read street names. Well, you can't
Okay.
do this on this.
Yeah.
There's no way to possibly do it. So if we then did section maps where we could blow up parts of
Okay.
this, we can then do the street names and provide them with all of
Okay.
the information. So that, then the next section of the A form is the architectural description. So, these descriptions should provide architectural, structural, and landscape features and evaluate in terms of other areas within the community. Now, one of the first things Ben had suggested to us, Ben
He's
from the
from the-
MHC, is that we look at Lennox. And this is Lennox's A form. By the
It's a
way,
book.
this does not include the photographs, which is another 50 pages. Front and back.
So is this like the best of the best, or is this like a really good example?
A really good example that is similar in size to us.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So, some information on Lennox. They have their A form, their inventory, right here, has about 262 properties listed.
And we have 250?
They appear to all be contributing.
Wow.
Well, so I think even though he said this was a good form, he did say that there were problems with it. They didn't include the photograph number, which he wanted to make sure we have.
Okay.
They didn't include contributing and non-contributing. So I'm pretty sure this is just their contributing properties. The reason why I think that is in their national register, when they applied for that, they had a total of 310 properties.
Ah,
277 which were contributing and 21 which were non-contributing.
Okay.
So I think this only included their contributing properties.
Okay.
So you've got that. Out
Sorry for
of
that
those
typing.
262 properties, there are 193 photographs. Now, I'm pretty sure that they basically took a photograph of every property. Now, why I say that is because some of these photographs had 3 or 4 properties. So, you know that section of Mill Housing on North Street right after Hayward Landing, those 4 houses? We could actually just take a shot of all 4 of them, as
Okay.
opposed to trying to do 1 or 2. We could just take all 4.
We have to think of those of us who worked forever, like 15 years on the B forms, need to think of area, right? Not think of property.
So there are some properties we can probably group together either as a contextual shot, or the properties are right next door to each other and it's just easier to get both of them as a single shot than trying to get 2
Yeah.
separate. So that was something I thought was very interesting about the photographs that I saw when I was looking through theirs that we'd never considered
Yeah.
for ours. So now, sorry, I feel like I'm jumping around. Now going on to the architectural narrative.
You mean the historical narrative?
Nope, the architectural.
Architectural description.
Yep, sorry. They mentioned 60 plus properties in their architectural description.
Okay.
And it really is very much like they broke down every part of that property. Like what the building looks like.
Wow.
I mean, they went
Like they found the grandchildren who lived there. They used to have cookies.
But like, they talk about like, it's got this type of this, and this type of this, and this type of this. Very architecturally
So like a
based.
page for,
I mean, some of them have a good, decent paragraph. Some of them are almost a half a page. A few of them
Oh,
are
I
a quarter
see.
of a page.
okay, so this is one property, a growing St. Anne's Church at 132 Main Street, wood framed cathedral cladding, stone trim, blah, 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 double entrance doors. And then next door it goes to 134 Main is the rectory, and then it describes that. Okay, so not a full page, but a very big paragraph.
In a detailed paragraph.
Yeah.
With
It's not a-
with information that I don't know if we possess the knowledge to provide that type of in-depth analysis on some of these architectural.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, just based on conversations we've all had, they did about 25% of their inventoried properties were covered in the architectural descriptions.
So 25%.
That, like I said, that's what they did. What we might want to do for our initial draft, year built, historic name, builder, major renovation, this is all in this.
Okay.
Major renovations and any possible architectural information provided by Macris. Caveat on Macris, I gotta remind everybody. Macris is based on the 1989 Belding Report. When Macris digitized it, some information was amended. Styles, that kind of stuff, they did change stuff. So there will be a little bit of discrepancy on those. Most of this is based on 1989 research, and I mean, we're now talking 30 years, and you've had a lot of renovations going on these properties. So what the style was in 89 may not be their style in 24.
Yeah.
So just stuff we need to take into consideration when we're pulling this information, these are all factors that could play into us creating this architectural description.
Okay.
Does anybody have thoughts, opinions? Am I completely out of line here?
No.
No, I think a good jumping point would be like where it was originally, right? And this is based on 1989, and then we can say
Kind of go from there. and
these
see
kind
what
of
we-
renovations have been done since.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I'm kind of thinking of like our initial draft, like maybe this is how we start and then we go further, rather than trying to dive deep in right off the beginning.
Yeah.
So the historical narrative then also plays into the pictures. So there are 100 plus properties that were discussed in the historical narrative. So what they would do is like those 4 houses on North Street. Those wouldn't go in the architectural description, those would go in the historical narrative, being like these we're all part of this, we're all part of mill housing that was built during this time and housed the mill workers. So that's how the historical narrative brought in the properties, by using the properties to tell the story of the history of town.
Okay. So I think I
The
just wanna make
historical
sure.
narrative is much longer than the architectural narrative.
Okay. You know what we should do for ours is, I don't know, like they've got continuation sheet, but it should say like architectural narrative, page 1 of whatever. You know what I mean?
I don't, they actually, on the A form, I think they say,
Because I can't tell what's going
yeah,
on.
the architectural form, the A form, they
Oh,
actually
they have
call
it.
it that. So, let me see real quick. I looked at this a lot, so.
Okay. So historical narrative.
So the historical narrative, I mean, obviously we start with like the original history of Douglas, which would actually start up at the Douglas Center.
Okay.
And then you go into during like the 1820s and 30s is when it started moving to downtown with the industry, and that's when you start talking about the mills, and that's when you can start pulling in all of the narratives from that.
Okay, so I just want to see how they did it. So they do like the early settlement and founding, 1750. These are the people who founded it. And then, but they've got like subheadings.
What I really like is they underlined every property that they mention
yeah.
and the photograph that they take, so it was really easy for me to
Look at, yeah, that's a good idea.
to count it and to know what it was.
Okay.
And the
Yeah.
properties that were covered in the historical narrative did not really include architectural description. It was more of the history. I mean, they may have mentioned something about the architecture, but it was really how it impacted the history of the town.
Yeah. Wow. This is a lot. I mean, it's very
I said, so
interesting.
that's 100+ properties, which ended up being, I think it ended up being like 35 to 40% of their
Okay.
their properties. But I'm doing that based on pictures, so if it was a picture that had 4
Yeah.
houses on it, it was even more.
Yeah.
And then you got the final part of the A form is the bibliography and the references.
It looks like they put their references at the bottom of each.
They footnoted it, and then on the very end is the full if you go to the very back.
The very, very last one.
Yeah. Then they did the full bibliography. Oh, maybe it was right before the,
Yeah, here
yeah.
it is.
So they footnoted everything with detailed footnotes, and then they had the bibliography from there. So the bibliography is going to be a lot. Anytime we pull from any resource, it needs to be cited properly right off the bat. And the reason why right off the bat, they want us to do it in Chicago
Chicago
style. And when you're dealing with website pulls, you need to have like date pulled, there's a lot of, when you're pulling stuff from the web, there's a lot more like instant information you're gonna need.
Okay.
So that's kind of a breakdown of how everything is. So based on kind of the A form and how Lennox's was, I think that's gonna kind of change maybe what photographs we use.
Because which ones we can tell a story about?
Right. What kind of photographs we use, because we want to make sure it fits that historical narrative. Or it needs to fit the architectural description. So it's going to be very much, it needs to, and I'm kicking myself that we didn't do this part first and we did the photographs, because now it's kind of changed how we want to look at things.
Right.
And I mean, and if I'm wrong or somebody's got a different opinion, let me know. But I feel like we're kind of there as far as the photographs ended up being, I want to say 133 were what we ended up,
Picking.
yeah,
I'm just trying to pull up some of our B forms and see like how far off we are. This one's not completed.
that's the problem with the B forms, there's a lot of them that aren't completed. 132 were yes photos, and 131 were no photos.
That's about even.
Yeah. But like I said, that might change. Like I said, if you're doing the historical narrative, that might make you be like, oh, that doesn't fit in the way we wanted it to originally.
I wonder if we can talk to either the MHC or a consultant and get an idea of
So,
what's feasible and like how, if we should be doing it the way that we're thinking or not.
So regarding the consultant, one of the things Ben had said is if we're looking for town funding for the consultant, which we do not have a choice, we need
We're
town
gonna-
funding.
Yeah,
Do not even consider going to the town or looking for a consultant until the MHC has agreed that it is an eligible area for the National Register.
okay.
Because if they don't agree, then you're putting money into
Nothing.
nothing.
Yeah,
So, I mean, we can get a hold of, oh, it wasn't Ben, it was it Scott that he wanted us to get a hold of? Ben had given us another,
oh, someone else on their team.
yes, another name, Peter Stott. Peter Stott is the one who we would go to for Form A questions. Ben is very much the general, but Peter is the Form A. That is who we go to.
Okay, but I'm trying to think of a good question, like, if I say, oh, can we just do like a little one line about this is our library?
Well, I guess the
Is that
question,
enough?
I guess, so, like, if you look at Lennox's, that looks like that looks like what they officially submitted to the MHC. And and now I'm wondering if I was under the wrong impression. I originally thought that we would be submitting like a really rough draft to them. They would approve it, then we would get the consultant who would clean that up, as well as help with the National Register National Register. But if what we have to submit to the MHC is our final draft, like, period, that definitely changes things. Do you know what I'm saying?
I'm a little confused because I was getting a text at the same time, but, so
I thought we would be able to submit a rough draft to the MHC. For them to do like a quick browse and be like, yep, you guys are on the right path, this looks like it's gonna be eligible, go ahead and go to a consultant.
okay, but there's more steps.
And then at that point, we would get the consultant who would help us complete the Form A to make it look really good, as well as do the National Register.
Yeah.
Because that's that's a horse of a completely different color.
It is? I'm confused.
Oh, yeah.
This is not what we need to do to get it on the National Register?
No, that's what we need to do to get it through the MHC. Once we
Okay.
get it through the MHC, we then have to get it on the National Register, which is a completely different form. In a way, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. So an example of this that I can show you guys. Okay, so this, sorry. There is too many forms in here. Okay, so this was basically a version of the Area A form that was done for downtown Douglas
Yeah.
back in '89. So this was a very quick version from 30 years ago. That's for the MHC. This is another MHC that we have to do the Massachusetts Historical Commission application. And then that's this. So before they'll even accept this, we have to get this passed through them.
Okay.
And then, once this gets passed through them, and this gets passed through them, then we can go for this.
For the national, okay.
So there's three
What are the
different,
three names? I was gonna write these down.
Okay,
we've
so you've got-
Form A.
you've got the Form A, which is through the Massachusetts Historical Commission. Then you have the application for district nomination to the National Register of Historic Places through the Massachusetts.
District nomination to the,
Oh, I've been pulling this stuff and trying to make sense of it. Like I said, what I was thinking, it actually looks like we've got a few more. And I don't know if we can send a draft of this, or if what we send them has to be our.
So, I wonder then if we could reach out to Peter, you said
Yeah.
his name was, and say, we have kind of a rough draft. Could you take a peek and just,
Let us know if we're on the, or even be like, this is what we're doing, and just give him like a couple of samples.
Yeah.
Can you tell us if the samples are along the right lines, or are
Yeah.
we not? And then once A gets passed and B gets passed through the MHC, then we can submit C.
Yeah. So this is what we did for the other district in 99 or so.
That's this one here. That was the, that was the East Douglas Village. I don't think I have printed out the 99 one.
Okay.
Oh, no, I don't have the 99 one
But I
printed, but
think-
it's basically, this is what you guys had done. This is what was submitted, the 99, the Douglas Center got accepted, this one did not.
Do you know why it didn't?
I
Out of
think
curiosity.
I think they submitted them at 2 different times, and I think one was more completed than the other, but I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, so they did get to this point
They
in
got to-
99, the second step.
Yeah, because remember Donna had
Yes.
found this, yeah, when did this actually, yeah, this was a draft done in 3/12/99.
Yeah.
So like I said, that's why I'm saying, like, what I think we all initially thought, I think we've got a few more steps between what we thought and, so I'm not sure, like I said, I'm not sure how to go about it.
Yeah, and it sounds like we need to get either Ben or Peter, just at least have a call or an email correspondence with them, right? To say,
are we on the right track?
yeah, like we're looking at Lennox's and that's gonna be many hours of, it could be many hours of a consultant's time. We have some information.
Yeah, like I said, I think, I'm not worried about the historical narrative. If I've got the time, I've got the Marsh book, I can easily put together a historical narrative using Marsh and my other resources at the library. I think I would be comfortable enough doing the historical narrative without needing a consultant. Architectural, nope.
I can help with the architectural. This is really heavy book, and I picked some up from the library. And I know some stuff about architecture from way back in school, but not a ton. And then there's online resources, but this one was the closest. That was like, classic revival style, colonial with examples and photos.
Okay.
I think my concern wasn't the actual style, it's how in-depth they go about, like, you look at some of those narratives for the architectural descriptions.
And they're talking about like, the windows are done in the
Yeah, like
the
that,
left window is,
like,
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
that
boy.
was more the stuff that had me kind of step back and be like,
uh-oh.
oh wow, this is,
Yeah, which, I could describe it. In most cases, I wouldn't have trouble describing it, but like, I don't have the time to do it for 200 and whatever properties.
right, so that's why I think, one of my best, I think a best bet might be to go through Marsh and attach and do property by property and include his history of each
Okay.
property. Do you know the Marsh book? I keep mentioning it. I don't know if you know what I'm referring to.
No. I think you've brought it up, you've maybe shown some stuff,
Okay, so
but I don't,
Marsh was written 41, 59, 69 to 71. There are discrepancies.
1969 to
On a
1970.
typewriter.
Huh?
On a typewriter.
Yep. Well, so it was started in 69, and by the time it was donated to the library, it was 71. So everybody always calls it the 71. I always say it's the 69 because that's when he stopped.
Looked at it, yeah.
That's when the research stopped. He was a town assessor. He was a town clerk. He was a historian. He was also a notorious gossip. We've got some great gossip pieces in there. So he actually wrote basically a history of all the properties in town. So he would be like, okay, this house was built in 1928. The Bilodeau house Cave House, Frost House. This was built by Schuster for his sister, Eleanor, not
That's
Eleanor.
good he was a gossip, he knows all the stories.
But like, it was built for Schuster's sister and her husband, Robert Frost. When the Frosts were done with it, it went to his daughter, Sue and her husband, Dave. Like, he did that. And then properties that had a little bit more history, he would include that history. So there's actually a history of the properties, which can also be a history of why some properties were put in. That's why I'm thinking it might be worth just to do street by street, pull out the ones that we've got as contributing, and see if we can pull a historical narrative out of those, and then seeing what we've pulled the historical narrative out of, what's left, or what do we want to try and put in the architectural narrative. I think we want to start with the historical to knock out a lot of the properties and kind of see what's left.
Yes.
That way we're not killing ourselves trying to figure out which properties to do the,
And doing double the work.
and now
By doing
like, there might
both.
be some things like, okay, we're probably gonna have to talk about the Hayward Mill twice. What's now Hayward Landing. It's probably gonna have to go in the architectural description as well as the narrative.
Okay.
There might be some properties that are gonna have to go in both. But
Okay.
if we can cover it in the historical narrative, and it's not a very unique or
Like yeah.
that type of building, do we really need to do the architectural? Let's not kill ourselves on those architectural.
I agree.
And let's just find those couple of great examples that fit the time periods we're talking about as an architectural description, or the big buildings.
Yeah.
I agree.
The public building.
I don't know, what do you,
I think that's a good way to go about it, especially like you said, if we have the Marsh book, it's like he's written
he's done
that part-
so much of the history
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
And because he does a lot on the axe mills. And he's done stuff on Schuster because Schuster was during that time period. So we've got the two main periods he talks about a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say that's a good plan of attack,
So-
is to start with the history.
And I'm not talking like the town history. I'm going to do just the building
Yeah.
history.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, I could probably knock that out in give me 4 work days worth of
Really?
whether.
Okay.
Well, because I've got it all, and
It's copy and pasting.
it's copy and pasted because I've already found I already did the work of getting all the street numbers for the properties.
Yeah.
So I don't even need to match the property to a street number. I've already done all that work.
I know you have this in your head, like the periods that we're looking at are,
Schuster was Hayward and Schuster was the 80s to the 80s.
okay, 1880s.
1880s to 1880s, but I was pretty sure what did we decide our cutoff date was? Did we decide it was gonna be,
I don't know, off the top of my head.
did we decide it was gonna be World War II, or did we decide it was gonna be 1970?
I thought
I feel like we keep
1970.
going-
I also
Right.
thought 1970.
I know we've gone back and forth, I know we kept
Right.
going back and
Yeah,
forth on
I'm pretty
them.
sure it's 1970.
I think that's what we landed on.
Okay.
Yes, because I think we were going through and there was a couple houses and we were like, oh, but we really want to keep that.
Okay.
And we wouldn't have if we didn't stay with the 1970,
Okay,
I
let me,
believe.
okay, so if we do, because if we do 1970 as a cutoff, we have 22 non-contributing. If we did 1945 as a cutoff, we'd end up with 46 non-contributing. But that leaves out all of the post-World War II bungalows and that kind of stuff, which were popping up left and right that I think we wanted to cover. Because that was kind of the part of the Schuster time period with everybody getting houses and everybody having the money to put them up.
Yeah, so we want to go to the later period.
Yeah, so we were going to 1970.
Okay, but what, like, so it's Hayward Schuster Mills from the, I thought we had 2 though. We had 2 mills.
Yeah, so we had Hayward and Hayward Schuster and Schuster, depending on how you.
Yeah, depending on where we are in time.
Yeah, then we had the Douglas Axe Mills.
Okay. And that's through 1970, I'm not sure when
No,
it
no,
starts.
no. The Douglas Axe Mills completely left town at this turn of the century, but they really stopped working in town in the 1880s. They kind of, the Douglas Axe Mills kind of sold off their properties to the Schuster Mills. And then hold on, Damco chronology. 1760 is when the family moved to Douglas. Joseph and Oliver started in 1798.
1798 was when the Axe Mill started.
Yep, they bought the land around Hunts Pond and they built the first blacksmith shop. They went until 1880 is when Hayward Mills began their operations, and in 1892 the Damco was purchased by American Axe and Tool, and everything started being sold off in 1892. So really it's like 1790 to 1880, 1880 to 1980.
Okay, so the Axe Mill is first, and then the Hayward Schuster
Yes.
picks up the next 100 years. Okay.
And those were gonna be the two that we,
1798, you said the Axe Mill started?
yes.
Okay.
And what's nice is somebody at the Historical Society, or I don't know if it was Historical Society, but somebody did a full chronology of the Douglas Axe Manufacturing Company, so we've got their full dates.
Oh, good. Okay. I was going somewhere with that, because I was just trying to think of the buildings that would be around that time period, but that's a long time period.
Well, yeah, and one of the problems with a lot of the axe buildings is a lot of them burned down.
Yeah.
There were a lot of fires.
Yeah.
There were
on my street.
a lot of fires. So, I mean, but at the same time, I know we're focusing on those, but you've also got the Lovett Mill, which was a different mill. They had the piano factory in there.
Oh.
That's the one that's right behind the Elmwood, behind the picket fence.
Yeah, I know where it is, but I didn't realize it was a piano factory.
It was a piano factory at some point.
I saw their postcard.
Oh,
Piano
yeah.
factory.
You're good
I was
about
like,
finding that memorabilia.
I was like, when was that?
So like I said, while we're focusing on the two companies, there were other smaller mills in that area
Right,
as
right.
well.
Right, that's good.
Because the problem is Douglas has horrible agricultural land, so
It's official, that's why I can't think of anything.
so mills, I mean, even before everything moved downtown, you still had all the cedar mills and all of that up in Old Douglas
Yeah.
because they couldn't do any tilling of the land, so they basically made shingles and
Yeah.
wood and that kind of stuff.
Okay. I wonder if there's other resources around too, like there's that museum like a library in Worcester where you can do historical research, and then there's,
Are you thinking the Antiquarian Society?
yes, I think so. We're not gonna get much more than what's online.
They're not, they pretty much stop in the late 1800s, so I don't know how much is actually going to fit our,
Yeah. Okay. And then, on 146, there's that Blackstone River Valley.
the National Heritage
Yeah.
Corridor.
Because we're part of that corridor, we're part of the mill story.
Well, and there are some books that mention Douglas, but the thing is, because there were so many mills in the area, every town just kind of gets like a mention.
Mm.
And honestly, the biggest one is the
Is
Whitten
that-
Mills.
Oh, yeah,
They end up being the biggest one because they were just so big.
yeah.
So the nice thing about the Schuster Mills is we've got the Loom Fixers, which actually gives a lot of their history.
That's their newsletter.
They did a newsletter. They started in 41, I think they started in, and they went into the late 40s.
Yeah.
And they were really, really prevalent during the war years, and then they kind of petered off, tapered off a little bit, but there's information there. There is stuff, and I'm not worried about the research on this stuff. I think,
Okay.
I'm not
Great.
worried about the research.
I'm not either, because I remember when we were picking these things and it took us 3 hours, because you have it all right here.
Right.
I have no doubt in your ability to read.
Right.
Well, like I said, one of the things is this is what people are interested in. So this is
Yeah.
the stuff, you've been and visited me more than once on this
Right.
kind of stuff. And how many times have you sent me an email being like, what's the history on this house? And I've just been like,
Yes.
like my oh, I get to dive into research, and I send her like an email like that's this long, and it's like, I just needed to know this one little
All right.
piece, and I've got like
So-
everything.
I think we're like working it out in our heads. So maybe we should figure out like a little bit of plan of attack. So if I don't know which comes first, the chicken or the egg, but what I'm thinking, we can just discuss it, is that if it's really just going to take you like 4 working days ish, we're not going to hold you to that or when they happened, but
Well, I'm saying 4 working days, meaning I can probably do it in 4 days. How like consecutive those
Yes.
4 days are
Right.
is a complete. My time period would be 4 days.
Yes.
How long those 4 days are going to
Right.
take on top of work,
understood.
I don't know. It all
So-
depends on what Justin throws at me.
So we've got like the little description, and we can get the historical narrative kind of worked out. I was thinking that I don't know if I wait for that to start, like some of the architectural, we could at least, some of it's copied in those historical, and some of it is, and this is the other thing too I was gonna do, is just for our A form, this is some of the work that David had done, which I need to kind of like, my handwriting's worse. So just like decipher it and like make a definitive, like this is a style that we think it is, with some online resources in that book. I was gonna start to figure out what the styles were, or
And I can get you a blank sheet that you can just work off of if you want
yeah.
to.
And, and so that's where I was going too, is you're used to working off Google Docs, and maybe what we do is we put it in a Google Doc, and then you're starting to work on it. We can all have access to it. And then, we could also give access to Peter at the MHC and show him where we're going, and, start to get an idea.
Once we actually
What he
have a
thinks.
little bit more.
Right, once we have a little bit more. So we could fill in, we should probably just like, we've got some photos of the area, or we could take a better one, I guess.
So now we run into the problem of, so we were originally taught we wanted to get photo. Okay, do you remember when we thought we'd have all this done in 2025? Do you remember that?
2024.
No, we actually had winter of 2025, I think we were like planning on doing this so we'd have everything ready to submit to the MHC and then have it ready for the town meeting, the annual meeting.
It was on my, what do you call that, New Year's resolution list.
Oh, really? Oh.
What you doing? What's new?
Hi, Cupcake.
How's it going?
It's going.
How's the addition that I never see the end of? I mean, I haven't even driven by yet. I don't even know if you
It's finally
painted it.
pretty much, it's done. Finally pretty much done.
Like I said, I might see 1 out of 100
fair,
projects, even in Douglas,
No,
right when I
there's
go,
7 more steps.
That's right.
Right.
And that you were
Is that
gonna have to
annoying?
become
Yeah.
an
I had to do
architectural
the agenda.
aficionado.
That's right.
Okay, totally lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
Google Docs.
Oh, so we thought we'd be done by the annual meeting 2025.
Yeah.
We're not gonna be there.
Right.
So one of the questions is we were talking about the pictures and how we've got like winter pictures, which is a lot of the pictures we have now. We want pretty pictures. Do you know?
I think
that was one
It's
of
the
the
best
things.
case.
That was one of the things we were kind of throwing around. So if we've got time, do we want to wait until some properties we want no leaves on the trees, otherwise we won't get a picture of the property.
But
Other-
maybe some would look better if we wait and have some summer pictures.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? Like that's something else we're kind of now that we know that this is we are gonna be looking at annual meeting 2026, most likely, maybe fall 2025, but honestly, I think we're better if we just kind of think 2026 and not kill ourselves with being like,
Yeah.
but if that's the case, do we want to put off the pictures until we can make sure we can get the right?
Pictures.
I'm just saying that was something that came up the last meeting.
So if we're just taking a picture, a good picture of the exterior, I know it's a lot of properties because I've walked the whole thing, but it might make sense to just go around and maybe 2 or 3 stops and just take everything. But if it's 2 or 3 visits, it's, I don't know, it could be different seasons too.
And like I said, there are some properties like, okay, there's that one on North Street, right at the north and northeast, right at the fort, the Civil War Monument. That's right there. It's a beautiful house. But it's completely, you can't see any of it right now because
All those trees.
the trees.
Okay.
And it's one that we're all like, that's a great house, but you can't see the house.
I think,
so that would be one that you probably want to get
In
in
the
the Baron
winter.
of Winter because
Yeah.
that's the only way you're
so
gonna.
my 2 cents is that we take pretty much all of them, and then we can, you know, as things come about, we can decide which ones we're gonna take, and which ones we're gonna cull out. And then if we I don't think there's that many that have to be taken with no leaves on the trees, so then those get taken
Yeah,
individually.
I'm just saying, like, just things to take into consideration.
Yeah.
But now we don't have to rush on the pictures because
We have a lot more work to do before.
Yeah.
we've
need
got
to-
wiggle room. And the thing is, do you want to take the pictures if there's a chance that the narratives are going to change?
Well, it's still the same property, I mean, it's still the same properties.
Right, but we're not going to have to include
All of them.
all of them. Like I said, one of the things is, and here's where Lennox, I think, I don't know if they screwed up or if it was a choice they made. This was done in 2019 or
18.
2018.
This is 18.
So you've got to figure they probably started this let's say like they really went gung-ho 2015-ish. Maybe the parameters were different. But in this, Ben said to us that the photographs, what properties will be used as key/representative historic resources in general streetscape/context photos. So there's no percentage, there's no number, it's what ones fit your story.
Okay, but I guess what I'm thinking is the pictures that because we've got to have both. We've got to have individual buildings and we've got to have like a picture of Main Street or something.
Right, we need to have, I think we need to have a picture of Main Street. If we're talking contextual, I would go Main Street, I would go North Street. I would almost go Cook Street, kind of where the Lovett, like,
Yeah.
the
where
Lovett
mill
Mill is. And maybe I'd go up by Hunts Pond. Because if you think about it, those are 3 of the main mill areas we're talking about. And how can you leave out the center of town?
Yeah, right.
So I would say contextually speaking, I lied, 5, you need Gilbo.
Okay, yeah.
You need Gilbo by the Schuster Mill, not the other side, but
Okay.
the Schuster. So you need like 5 contextual photos. That's what I would think if you're talking about highlighting our story.
Yeah.
Those would be the 5.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to, you could maybe throw in a 6 and add Depot Street where we are now, but I don't think you would really need to.
But we're still gonna also have a lot of properties or little groups of
Yeah.
properties. So, I don't know, I
feel like the photos, I almost feel like we almost want to have an idea what the narratives kind of are, so like,
So we can, yeah, so
like,
we,
so we know we want to group the 4 on North Street together now.
Yeah,
Where before you would have taken 4 individuals, now you're gonna take a single shot.
Yeah.
I think B Street, we could probably get away with 2 or 3 photos as opposed to as many as we were originally gonna.
Okay.
I think if you're doing the narrative, you're gonna find that you can group some more together than
Okay.
you originally thought you could.
Okay, all right, and just focus on those.
I may be wrong, I'm just saying, like, before we were thinking every shot had to be individual,
Yeah,
but now we know, well, they don't necessarily all have to be individual.
right. We'll
Can-
just get the public buildings individually and then some others grouped together. Okay.
And then, like, then there are gonna be some houses where, like, yeah, you definitely want this by itself.
Yeah.
The yellow hunt house next to, between the banks, that one you wanna get on its own.
Yeah,
Going up, you've got the Schuster, you've got the Frost house, you've got some houses up on, near West Street that you probably wanna get on their own. But you've also got some that are grouped together that you can just,
yeah, right. Okay, all right, so we'll wait on those a little bit. So I just want to be aware of time, it's going to be 7, and I was hoping that we would keep it, not, I don't have to leave right at 7, but just closer to that time frame.
you mean not a 3-hour meeting?
Yeah.
So, like I said, I'm going to get the historical narratives on the marsh
So these are our
properties
next
done.
steps, right?
Okay.
Okay, thanks. So,
So we're kind of, that's where we're gonna start it sounds like,
I think that might be our best bet.
because a lot of the work's done for us.
Yeah. I
Okay.
don't know at the same time if it would be worth going through Macris and getting the old B forms and starting to pull the architectural narratives.
well, I feel like we could do that from the B forms that we have. I know that some of them, I probably have the best copy of them.
Well, so like I think I
If
had told you,
anybody-
I've got the B forms. The problem is they are so numerous. I mean, so numerous that I had to compress them. And even with them compressed, we are looking at 555.8 megabytes. That's
Wow.
compressed. So like if I were to uncompress them and just throw them into like the Google Drive, we'd be out of space. Because the working B forms, I've got two different B forms. One is 558 megabytes, the other one is 1.15 gigabytes. Like we have that, the problem is there are that many B forms that were done over the last 20 years.
So many versions of them.
That's the problem.
I know I have a good file, though. I know I have a good set of files on my computer. So I'm just thinking if we put that, the area form, can we put it into a Google Doc? Because you've got all these boxes and stuff.
I think, honestly, I think the best thing to do on those is to do the same thing I'm gonna do with the historical narrative. And you put the street number, copy and paste, and you just put that architectural description right there. Do not worry about the B forms, do not do anything, just do the straight property.
Just do it on a regular document.
A regular document
Okay.
where you just have the architectural description for each one. And that way you can be looking through it and be like, okay, here's this property, here's this property, here's this property.
Okay.
Almost as a list with the
Almost-
descriptions.
Yeah, almost like.
Yeah,
this
because I was
list.
gonna start to say, like, I could fill in this part, put the photo in, or whatever.
I think we completely ignore this. I think we're not even ready to start filling out the Form A yet.
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't think we're there. I think we need to work on the narratives.
okay.
yeah, because that's,
We've got,
once that's done, that's a lot of this form.
yeah, we've got the
Yeah.
database is pretty much done.
Sorry. There's an issue with this cable and I can't get hold of Pat, sorry.
The database is pretty much done. Minus the architectural style that you're gonna,
Yeah, so you're gonna do the historic narrative. I'm gonna do the, what do you call that, inventory form?
yeah, you're gonna do the style right here, this one.
Yeah, style.
Final
Final decision.
Well, because that's where David was supposed to put it, and he didn't end up putting it there. That's the problem.
And this is on this is on our drive?
I will find that, and I will make sure you've got the right one.
Yeah, so you'll get added to the drive.
Yeah, I'll make sure that it's highlighted for you, because there are so many of them going on right now. So
Okay.
I think that's what you do. So like I said, this for the most part, if we're looking at things, so the data sheet for the most part is like I said, is mostly completed. This is the only thing that needs to be filled in.
Okay.
And we've got to remember,
This.
yeah, and I need to double check a couple of I want to make sure that I've got like the monuments, I want to make sure I've got them marked right as object site or whatever.
Okay.
That I know I need to fix. So this will be done once this is filled in.
Okay.
This form will be pretty much completed.
Yay!
Minus-
Great work.
That's my
Minus the photo number.
Minus the photo number,
New Year's
but
resolution.
that's fine. Like this, that we're not there yet.
Uh-huh.
So then this will be done. So then it'll be
And then you'll work on part 3, which is the
historical narrative.
What about, I forgot about this one. I forget what that's called.
This is the architectural
Architectural
description.
description.
And I keep calling it a narrative just because I've got the term narrative.
Oh, where's that like single form? Okay, I'll look at, thank you. So, I have one too. Photograph, map. I think this is easy, but.
Yep, this is stuff I'm not worried about. This is stuff we do when we're
Yeah.
getting ready to complete the final product.
Okay, so, historical narrative comes after. We'll keep track of the bibliography stuff as we
So
go through.
So the bibliography is, you're gonna have to be really paying attention on that when you're doing.
What days you're looking up the information.
Not only
Yeah.
that, but when you're doing the architectural, if you're pulling it from books and stuff, for each property, you're gonna have to mark what property, like the property, the book, the page number,
But isn't it just one bibliography at the end? Why does it need to be for each
because you've gotta,
thing you look at?
you've gotta note it.
Yeah, it's,
They're
it's like
footnoted.
cited
Okay.
in here and
They're
then
Yeah,
at the
they're
and
bottom.
at the end, okay.
Yeah, the bibliography is the works cited, the works that were cited inside of
Right, right.
this.
I feel like you could just take like this form and
Uh-huh.
as you're doing that, you could
Say it.
write a little
reference- yeah,
notation
mhm.
right here.
You ready
Right.
for the fun part? Macros, anything we use macros has to be cited, each and every one. So,
Each separate page or?
so every B form we use that's based on a macros form that already exists,
So there's 250 at least.
we have to cite them,
Yeah.
each one individually.
Well, that's crazy.
Yep, that's why I'm
But
saying.
so would it be helpful if, could you make almost like another form like this and instead of like this at the end, put the citation, so as you're going through, you jot it down?
Yeah, we should have this in different colors. One for like, did we take the photo of it? Another one for or whatever, or add a column.
Right.
And just say, did we do is it in the historical? Do we want
I'm just wondering,
architectural?
is it easy enough
non-contributing?
to kind of
Right.
make
So,
that?
okay, so what we could do is we could do a form that has, no, I don't want this one, I wanna look at, sorry.
You want
I want
That's
this
too messy.
No, this one's got a different, this is, this was modified a lot. So we probably want it to have, let me see, map, street, number, street, name. Okay, then what are the things that we need? So
I
we
would
need to-
say,
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say, just for citing purposes, have one that just has like, the address or whatnot, and a column where we can put the citation here. So if you're looking up that specific address today, you're looking up 2A Street, and you're citing it from there, you can just jot that down right here. So
Yeah.
when we
So,
go back
okay,
to
so
write
column-
these things out,
Column
we
all
know,
already there,
we
right?
know where that citation
And then you're not getting
is.
confused, like if you
Column
pull
citation.
something out, your footnotes aren't messed up and it's
Yeah.
all
So we
kinda-
need column citation, so that would be the website, which would be the URL, website URL.
I don't think you want it,
No, that you need the URL.
Well, what I was gonna say is, don't put separate columns for each of those things.
Yeah, just one big open column.
No, website, no, you want a website URL, and then you want another column
For
for
date.
date.
Pulled.
Date accessed.
Yep.
Okay.
You, and then actually we can have, I can do 2 or 3 date access, because you might end up having to go back to it. That's the problem, like, yeah, Peter was, the email between us, he's like, oh yeah, no, you need to cite every thing, and yeah, it's gonna,
Yeah, well, that's easy enough if we're doing it organized. I think that's a really good way to set it
Just,
up.
yeah, just because then we know exactly, or if we say, okay, maybe we do want to add this in, where can I look for that information?
Where did I get that? Yeah.
And then it's already there. So
I-
like,
okay.
as we're looking through
I
this,
think we
that's a good
might,
idea.
I think we might want to do one more, different thing. So we've got MHC, map, street number, street name. Then we want to have historical narrative, architectural, photo. Is there anything else?
Historical narrative, architectural, photo.
I'm just like, so that way we can like, if you work on a property, you can go in and check it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think it, yeah, I like colors.
but, so what you can do is you can color whatever block it is that you just worked on and put your initials.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like, you did the architectural for this
So
one.
you're gonna make one of these and like either hide columns or lose all
I'm,
this.
I'm gonna do one sheet that's gonna have multiple tabs down at the bottom. One's gonna be for citations, one's gonna
Oh,
be for tasks.
Okay.
Tasks completed.
Yes.
Okay.
If everybody's, I'm a Google Forms, Google
I-
Sheets girl. I love them to the moon and back. I use them all the time.
Well, it certainly helps me.
Yes,
but-
and then we can all go in and
Yeah.
divvy up projects and whatever as time goes on, and or either we take like your Main Street, your Northeast Main Street, whatever it is, and then
So yeah, we'll do a couple. We'll do the 2 forms. One will be citations. One will be tasks. If I just call it tasks, is that good for
Yeah, because, yeah, to check off, yeah.
tasks and sites? Okay.
But, yeah,
Okay.
so that, I mean, that'll give us a good jump. Good, and a good
yeah.
reference point.
I'm just looking up because I don't remember how Chicago goes. So it's like last name, title of the document, the source, the date, the link.
And then it's a lot. Like I said, it's a lot of footnote. It's a lot of footnotes for Chicago. That's basically the basis of Chicago is on footnotes.
Can I look this up so I can,
It's in the Google Drive.
okay.
It's if you go to the Project Downtown Douglas 2023 project, it's under Sam. Nope, actually you don't even need to go into 2023. It's just in the Project Downtown Douglas samples.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I was gonna print off the pictures too until I realized that it was gonna be like an extra 50 pages.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, Justin might kill me if I do that
Yeah.
much in color.
Yeah.
So this is
I can get away with a lot, but that might be pushing my luck.
yeah. It's like what is she doing?
I might be pushing my luck on that one.
So I probably shouldn't even mention this now, but like I'm just worried about the town giving any money for it. We have to really think of some good
Well,
selling points. I'll make a little video or something.
and here's the other thing that I found when I was going through all of this. We need to have a general consensus for anybody that falls within the Starfighter shape that they approve of us submitting this. If we do not have general consensus, we can't do it.
So how do we get general?
Yes.
I think, now this is still quite a bit off, but I think what we're basically gonna need to do is we're gonna need to send out information to people's mailboxes post boxes, get it out that way, probably put it up on a couple of social media, and then be like, we will be presenting this to the selectmen on this date. If you have a problem or you have a complaint, you come, you say it then. If not, silence means consent.
So
Okay.
more like a opt-out type of
Yeah.
like,
Opt out.
tell us if you
And
don't
if
want
if it
rather
becomes a
than-
discussion, then we like meet with the, like offer a slot with the selectmen, I would say, or something like that. There aren't any.
I think probably
more
the main
regular.
concern that people will have, just judging by what I know,
Is the
is
fact
that
that-
they'll think it's restrictive. A lot of the
Exactly.
times, that's
They'll
what
think it's a
people worry
local and
about.
not a national,
Right.
and, excuse me, I've done stuff on this at the library before, I've got literature on it. We
Yeah.
can definitely make sure that it gets out that this is just a designation, it has no impact. And what we can even use as an example is the center, you've got Douglas Centers on there, you've got the Jenks stores on there, and you've got Hayward Landings on there.
Right.
Yeah.
And none of them.
Maybe we should include that in our mailer though.
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, no,
more
no.
People would be opposed if they thought that it was
Yeah.
a restrictive.
But I
district.
want to also like, so that's not easy, but it's something that we can address. Like, what's the plus is what I want to tell people too. Like, what are they getting out of this? And when I was driving in Whitensville this week, I noticed they've got flags that say it's a historic
Yeah.
center or something, which probably wouldn't be that expensive relatively to get those produced. So then, like, and it looks nice, right?
Yeah.
The part that
Did
got
we
the-
not have flags downtown, like the banners on top of poles? I swore we did at one point, but maybe
So,
I'm just imagining.
Oh,
The
They
NHC
have like
I could be imagining.
What town has like purple signs?
Yeah, that's
So
what I was
yeah,
thinking
so actually
of.
Douglas
It's not
Center's
us,
got
maybe?
one.
Is
Douglas
it
Center's got one.
Center?
Douglas Center's got one. So they
Oh,
so they
cute. Okay.
so there's a different. This is a
I was like, I know I saw a
pamphlet
purple one
from
somewhere.
the MHC. The difference between the two districts.
Oh.
What you need to know about listing on the National Register. The benefits of a local, which we don't. Well, I mean, we pretty much right off the bat knew that local was not the way to go. Then I had done 3 articles for the
She's already
library.
done all our homework for
okay,
us.
yeah.
Well, actually,
Her and this other guy, the town gossip.
it was funny. We were working on this, and Justin's like, "I need something for the bits and pieces,"
Oh,
and I'm
like,
like,
"Here you go."
"Oh, I'm already working on this," so I just ended up doing it a little
That's
bit more.
And I think we start with something like that. This is not that you can't paint your house. Big letters or first letters or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Don't get nervous.
So like I said, but that is something that as we get closer, before we even can
yeah.
consider submitting it to the MHC, we
have to
need to
make
make sure that we do not have a blowback from the townspeople.
Right.
Okay. All right, so when we start to wrap up, what do we need to do?
I'm gonna keep this with me.
Yeah, sorry.
Stealing my paper.
I think this is fine.
That one's yours, that's,
This goes back over to her.
Yeah.
or if anybody wants, like I said, everybody's got access to it, and if anybody's a paper versus a electronic person.
So we can get these in the library even if you're not there. The paper.
They're in the drive.
But I mean, if we wanted the paper copy, does this live at the library?
My book, yes, my book is at the
Okay.
library. Oh yeah, and none of this comes home.
Protected by sprinklers and everything in case of emergency?
None of this stuff comes home with me. I'm like,
Okay.
it all stays on my shelf there because that's where I do all my work.
Yeah, and so Gail pulled a bunch of books for me, and then they're like, they've got this puppy, and I'm like, I gotta get these out of my house before she
Right?
starts chewing them. But like one of them looks especially good. So
Yeah, I think we just kind of start there and kind of get the pieces together. Once I've got it done, I'll just shoot an email to everybody to let them know that the historical outline is done so people can.
okay, so one important thing that's on our agenda. We kind of like I'm looking at the agenda, but it was all kind of in about this historical district. Was the MHC had virtual webinars that I thought were really interesting.
Oh, really?
So I forwarded this, I thought, or most of you probably get it.
You did. and you also had already attended or had them send you one.
One of them, I honestly, so to me, like signing up for it, you don't have to attend even like at the time that they're doing
Because they
it.
just send you everything.
Oh,
Right.
nice.
So I had done that last year with a bunch of them, and then this year.
That was
So,
just a day, right?
That's good to know.
so in the drive, under Mass Historical Commission, there are workshops. And the PowerPoint presentations for last year's workshops as well as this year's workshops will be in there. So you can just go on there and access
Yeah.
any that you want to.
Sorry, I thought there was like 4 of them that I signed up for. Is this it?
Okay, I also,
Here they are. Okay, so one of them was about identifying like what's a property worth preserving. Another one was about identifying the styles. Like they were really good.
best practices for developing a strong local preservation program, determining historic and architectural significance,
That
the
was good.
basics of online research for historic buildings confirmation, and the MHC survey and planning grants, which is the one that had already passed us by, that you
Okay.
have already given to. Last year's was introduction, MHC Historic Resources Survey, National Register of Historic Places, Introduction to Historic Preservation, Introduction to Macris and Macris Maps, Historic Resources Survey, and Architectural Styles and Building Technologies. So those were all the different workshops that have been presented, and they're on the drive, so you can view them that
Okay,
way.
so I just forwarded you all the email that I had, so if one of us signs up for it, we don't all, we'll get to see the stuff, but it's nice, you can ask questions if you're there at the live event. So, anyway, they would seem like they were really relevant, they're like, I was like, they've been listening to us, And,
Last year's the one on the architectural style in buildings, that one was helpful.
yeah, that's really helpful.
Well, that I feel like is gonna be huge helpful for what we have to do.
Right.
So, sorry, one other thing that wasn't on the agenda but came in by email that, again, everyone should have seen it, but we were talking to the other group, now I can't think of what they're called.
BFCC?
Yes, the BFCC. And so, Dynamic Environmental Associates sent something about the towers.
Oh, they did. Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Scott,
I also
Hmm.
didn't see that.
I'll forward it.
I don't have that, are you sure it got forwarded to
Oh, it
everybody?
went to, Scott's alright. Yeah, it got forwarded to, it looks like nothing. It looks like DEA number, blah, blah, blah. It was sent September 13th.
Oh, I didn't even see that one.
But this is.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Communication towers, and so that's information on their projects. They're
Okay.
modifying telecommunications towers in Worcester County.
I didn't actually get an attachment.
That's a PDF.
Yeah, my email has no
And
attachment.
it-
I just have the thread between everybody. I don't have.
It also went into the Gmail account, the douglashistorical@gmail.com.
Okay, now this time I got the attachment. The first one I didn't have an attachment.
Okay. So 17 Church Street. One says 17, one says 33.
That is
Oh.
because of Ellie's property. Her house is 17. I believe 33 is, because that's Ellie's.
Okay.
I believe, so she's got the big farm.
Yes.
I think it's in multiple parcels.
Okay.
And the tower sits on 33.
Okay. So
How do
they're
I know? Because I used to
modifying-
be able to see it from my house.
You know everything.
I told you.
Yeah.
It's all in there.
No, literally, Ellie wraps me so like when they put the tower up, it was in our backyard for a while until the
Okay.
trees grew
Oh,
taller.
so I take it back. I'm sorry. When I was looking at this, I thought it had to do with that whole meeting with like I saw tower
yeah, because
and
I was like,
I apologize.
Fire with the
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything to do with
Okay.
that.
did we ever hear any more back from BFCC on that? I don't know if
Not
they
since
ever
the
had
last
like
update and
yeah, I don't
yeah,
know
I
if they
should
ever
know
had,
more,
we
but I
were-
don't.
Yeah, no,
We
this
were
just
waiting to
has.
see if like an engineer would look at it, but I don't know.
So they want to know if there's anything historical on 17/33 Church Street that would affect that tower.
No, they've had a cell tower there for 25, maybe 30 years already.
129 acres.
And I think it's part of that entire thing.
Okay, so,
Oh, and we also had to do this within 30.
I was gonna say, we've got to probably past it, so,
Yeah.
all right, that's good, we didn't have a problem with it. Done, we did our job.
But like I said, the thing is, I don't think, it's something that's already existing. Like,
Yeah,
The
it's
cell
not
tower's
new.
already there. So whatever they're doing is
It probably
just,
has to be done.
is
and-
just supplemental to what's already there.
Yeah. Okay, all right, well, that takes care of that. So, can we adjourn?
Do we want to
more?
set up a meeting?
Oh, God, yes, we do. And we'll let Scott know that, what was I gonna say? That he can get it online, right? And as far as meeting dates,
Okay, so we're getting into the fun time of year,
What do you mean by that?
holiday season.
I know, summer and holiday are like crazy, right? So, well, how soon do we think we need a meeting? Because some of this we're just gonna work on individually. So we could do the thing, you know, I could like set a reminder in, we've got two options. Set a reminder a month from now and say, do we need a meeting later this month? And then we pick it then, or?
I think that might be the best
Yeah.
route. Let's see where
Yeah.
everything's at. Because I was originally going to be like maybe 6 weeks out, and I'm like trying to do the math here.
And you're counting how many hours in a day you can work on your homework?
Like I said, it all depends on what else
Can I get
falls.
my 4 days in 6 weeks?
So,
Well, it all depends. Like I said, it all depends on like what falls at the library, and whether or not like I can actually sit down and do it, or if I'm like piecemealing it together, like
Right.
as the
Yeah.
day goes on.
right. All right, so I will, on November 9th or so, I'll email everybody.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Like I said, I know. Like I said, I know the holidays start to get a little like trying to
Yeah.
fit things in.
I mean, it's busy, but I don't tend to have anything that's like completely,
Me neither.
so. All right, so I move to adjourn the October 9th
too.
meeting,
7:24.
7:24.
Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.